Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
I'm Tiffany.
This is a live show where we talk about comics that came out the past week, recap them, review them, tell you what we thought about them, and then recommend comics that come out this week that we think you should check out. Also, when there's a comic book movie or TV show that's of consequence, sometimes we'll talk about it. Today, we're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. We saw it today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, we did.
We're doing a lot of things that we didn't expect or plan on doing this week. For one thing, we're doing a show. Some of you may have noticed, if you were avid watcher of this show, you may have been like, oh yeah, aren't you going on vacation? Yeah, we were supposed to go today. So we are here instead. Why not?
We just missed you guys.
We just missed. It's true. You know, if I'm not going to be away, then I might as well spend it with you.
You guys.
So we're here. And we also took that opportunity to watch Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
I also noticed that we talked a little bit about the fact that the Ninja Turtles and the whole Hollywood strike may have caused some issues for us, where it's like, oh, we shouldn't be talking about the movie, etc. You know, we're scabbing. As it turns out, and here's kind of like a little very dirty version of the story. If we're not being contracted by studios and we're not affiliated with it in any way, we're fine. The studio itself is not paying us to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And those who have worked on the movie, writers and actors and so forth, have actually said, like, no, please help these movies do well, because otherwise they'll use it as an opportunity to tell people or to leverage our, bad fortune to their own whims.
Right.
So we're going to talk about it. And we'll see how it goes.
Oh, boy. Okay.
But we're going to do that after we talk about some comics. There are a couple of issues that came out this past week that we actually read and have opinions about. Not a lot of them, I'll tell you that, but a couple. I have at least 2 books that I read and have opinions about.
I have a few books. Well,
Yeah.
Again, we weren't expecting to be doing a show, so I was like, this is fine. I'll have lots of stuff to read. Oh, no. Okay.
Also,
Yeah.
I should mention the show is sponsored by viewers like you. You're watching the show live. You can sponsor today's show instead of allowing other corporations to infect this show. You can use super chats, ask a question or comment, and read it. We'll read it here on the show.
Yeah.
Or if you want to help us another way, you can always go to patreon.com/ComicPop and help us directly there. Or if you're watching the show after the show is live and you don't want to deal with Patreon, well, guess what? You can actually use super thanks, and you can just leave a comment like you did a super chat in the first place. I always read all the comments, so I will see it, and you will be acknowledged in some way, usually with a heart.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to do that, the least bottom of the barrel way you could do this, and I all created equal. I do appreciate all of it. You could like the video and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you know when we're going live, so you can join us when we are live. So those are the ways you could help us out, if you are so inclined. So yeah, I read Adventures of Superman John Kent #6 from Tom Taylor and Clayton Henry. This is the last issue, I believe, of this series. It is dovetailing into yet another series. This is kind of like my final thoughts on this whole book overall.
Okay.
The idea being like, John got messed up during Lazarus Planet. They've been teasing him becoming Electric Blue John. He's never done it. But he has almost been that for over 6 issues.
Right.
And they also tease that this whole series is kind of going to be the ultimate battle between John Kent and Ultraman. Of course, Ultraman stranded John at a young age and kept him artificially. He's the reason why John is artificially the age he is, upsetting most fans of the character.
He's like, you ruined a lot of things.
Yeah, so we figured, this will be fun. It'll be kind of cathartic. Well, screw you, because it's not really about that. It's about Tom Taylor's other works, which is Injustice. So John ends up in the Injustice universe, and I think that Taylor was trying to kind of like make this fit in continuity with the Injustice series somehow. Not like that, it's after everything, but rather that this is set before everything. So you can read your Injustice books and then go, oh yeah, and this is the period in random Injustice where John showed up and maybe made Superman reconsider his actions. Oh wait, no, he didn't. The art was, as always, industry standard, but nothing special. I don't mean to disparage artists. I think they all work tirelessly. The book came out on time, and it was consistent, and it just wasn't my cup of tea. It wasn't exactly what I was looking for. It didn't have the dynamicism that I was looking for from a Superman book or from a AAA selling Superman title. Overall, the writing itself was a little ham-fisted and a little hacky, just a little tiring. There's a lot of Tom Taylor's John Kent Superman where we need to establish that he's Superman. Like, he is Superman now. He's the Superman. Even though we have his father who is Superman, and he was going to be old and kind of like forgettable, but now DiDio's gone, 5G's over, and Grant Morrison's never going to write another Superman book again. So we're good. Like, whatever. How about 2 Supermen? And you know what? The world's got plenty of room. You know, you got Connor, who was in space and everyone forgot about him, and you got the rest of them. Super girls, super children. There's 2 other children. There's plenty of Supermen to go around. But I just couldn't help but notice that there's a lot of John Kent saying he's Superman without actually being too Superman-y. Or it's more he's like, John likes to diffuse situations by talking, which I think is always fun. And I loved seeing that. But I also feel like it's a lot more of John just saying he's Superman and putting his foot down about things than him like actively solving a problem.
Okay.
You know, he just shows up and people are like, oh, it's Superman, it's Superman, it's Superman. And he's like, listen, everybody, I'm Superman, okay? And that means something. Yeah. And you're like, yeah, I know, you keep telling us.
What does it mean?
It means that, like, I'm trading on my dad's cachet. It's like, listen, I'm going to arbitrate this disagreement between these 2 labor unions because my dad used to own this practice. And if you remember, he worked here for 30 years. Yeah, that's true. And who are you? I have his last name.
That's really not what I mean. I feel like
that's not what they want.
That's not who John should be, and I don't think that's who John wants to be.
That's not who anyone who's writing John thinks they're that they don't think they're doing that.
Right.
But that's how it comes across.
Okay.
At least to me. And for my money, that ain't what I'm interested in reading. And I've normally skipped the series, but I was like, oh, John fighting Ultraman, John going to Injustice? That's fun. That's what it is. It's just kind of like, oh, I didn't need to pay full price for that. How about you, Tiffany?
I read Moon Knight number 26 this week.
Oh, I wasn't sure we'd had time for Moon Knight.
If I had time?
Yeah.
I made time for Moon Knight. And if you notice on the cover of this one...
Moloids!
Well, I was going to say, who are the gods?
What?
Logo on there.
Oh, no! Jonathan Hickman's gods?
Yeah.
Or GODS?
Yeah. Like a couple of books this week had... that on there.
Okay, what does that mean?
Like, kabam. I think it indicates that it's like there's going to be a character in there.
Oh.
From them.
Okay, so like because Jonathan Hickman has this whole new big X-Men or Secret Wars-esque thing he's working on that is not Ultimate Invasion.
Bingo.
And it essentially is going to be hopefully more successful than the DC Dark Matter universe, where it's like, hi, I'm a creator you know and trust. Yeah. Here's a bunch of new characters that are complements to real characters that exist in the Marvel universe. Hopefully you like them as much, if not more so.
Yeah, and I think it's partial. Well, again, I'm just gonna read that book when it comes out.
Right.
I'm trying real hard not to be like, I'm gonna do all the research on it and try to figure out every.
No. How about just read it and we'll see how it goes.
That's what I'm here for. Because it's Hickman books. I'm just like, take me on an adventure, Jonathan Hickman. I'm prepared to take your hand. Let's go.
True.
I do believe that at the end of this issue, there is one of their characters.
Okay.
I'm not 100% on that because I read this one in haste, like right as we were coming over here. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, Moon Knight.
Yeah.
And I won't lie, part of it was because of the fact that I cover purchase from Comixology and I wasn't looking at the title and my brain didn't register Hunter's Moon as Moon Knight.
Right.
And so like I was like, okay, that's fine. Whatever that book is, I can get to that later. It's totally cool. No, wait, hang on.
That's the main Moon Knight book. Yeah.
Oops. So I definitely went ahead and grabbed it, read it. By the way, great issue. Really great. It very much focuses on Hunter's Moon. This cover is not a lie.
Great.
All of these characters are in this book.
Yeah.
And just, a nice little like, hey, let's get to know Hunter's Moon a little bit more. He's in therapy with the therapist who Moon Knight has been using. He's talking a little bit about how, like, he had his first, like, resurrection, which is good, like the last resurrection that Khonshu can do, reminding us of that, which I appreciate that little reminder there that, like, Khonshu can't bring people back right now. There seems to be a lot of that going around Marvel at this time period.
Interesting.
But, just getting to know him a little bit and getting to know what he's worried about, because he's worried about the fact that he's like, I don't know if I came back right. That, like, there's like this, reservoir of other Moon Knights out there,
Mhm.
you know, previous ones, kind of like the Avatars in a way.
Yeah.
But that when he came back, like the levies are a little messed up. And,
Okay.
you know, at one point, you know, he got really hurt recently in a fight, and
Yeah.
like a more like the first like primal one came out. And like nearly
Oh.
killed this dude that he really needed information from. He's like, I knew I needed information from this guy, and like I just couldn't stop him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was like it's kind of cool, and he and the therapist established like a bridge of trust. We learn his first name, so it's really well written like issue. Just like not necessarily a standalone, definitely going to be like
Part
feeding
of
into
the
the
saga.
like part of the saga, feeding into it, but like a moment of like breath.
Cool.
Which is really, I think, what Jed MacKay really tends to like excel at is giving you these opportunities to go like, okay, cool, like
now let's go to the next one.
Yeah. I mean, like,
but not just going from one to another.
Yes, and I believe we've talked about this before, like the idea that like they do that in Ghibli films.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of Ma,
yeah,
like that the moment in between the
applause,
like,
or
like
the
applause.
No, right.
A clap is Ma, and it's like that, like it gives you the anticipation, and that's kind of what this was. And at the end, I believe we see the gentleman who he put into a hospital room.
Yeah,
there's someone in the room with him, and I believe he's one of the characters from the upcoming
Who Are the Gods.
Who Are the Gods. So cool stuff.
Cool
stuff.
Okay.
There, like I said, just a good issue because.
Yeah. And how's Sabatini on art?
Great. Like great looking. I mean, very different. But
yeah.
When you do an issue like this, when you take that break, it's okay, I think, to go with an artist that's different.
Totally.
If you're trying to give your artist a chance to catch up,
definitely,
this is the time to do it.
Yeah.
Like instead of like mid arc or like mid, like, you know, like, oh, here's a bombastic issue that's gonna like launch into the next like rest of the action sequence. Oh, we had to change our artist. No, this looks good, and Sabatini does a really nice job on the art. So.
Nice. All right, cool. Let's see. I also read. There it is. Night Terror's Batman #2 from Joshua Williamson and Guillaume March. This is, of course, the final issue of Night Terror's Batman. So, nice little wrap up. This is an easy purchase. I got to tell you, like, this is.
I did not read this.
That's fair. I like this idea of taking, like, okay, if we're going to do a DC event, A, make it matter, and B, you know what? 2 months? Push everything out of the way, doesn't really infect the main books, especially if we're going to normalize the idea of like alpha issues, omega issues, tie-in books, side books. You know, there's a cover for a series I'm not even reading called Night Terror's Robins. The image of Jason Todd like as a Robin, like emerging from a grave holding a crowbar. It was just a really great cover. Some fantastic art's coming out of there. That Harley Quinn cover. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, and the work in between the covers is still also really good. But this was such an easy decision to make because I remember reading Night Terror's Batman #1 earlier, and that one tied in directly with what was going on in the beginning of Night Terrors with like the first issue I think that dropped, and I think that was the Blood one. But now we're here, and it's the last issue. The series is now done, and so I was like, you know what? Why not? Yeah, I'll finish it up. And this one directly connects to the next part, like to the end of the series. So we transition. But it also still feels like the second issue.
Was this like required reading?
Nah.
Okay, cool.
All you need to know is that Batman gets out eventually. Like Batman
he's Batman. There was really no doubt in my mind.
Right, and Batman's never left the series because like Deadman has been piloting him.
I was gonna say, so where's Boston?
Well, I think that the where's Boston question is answered in Night Terrors as opposed to in this. This is about Batman, so let's focus on that.
Okay.
But yeah, Batman goes into his nightmares and he he becomes the Joe Chill killer of his parents, and it's because he's like, you know, either insomnia or Batman's darkest like feelings is like you always wanted to be Batman, so you kind of like secretly wanted this, and obviously that's not true. And he faces insomnia for a minute, but like insomnia's like, I'm not doing this, I don't have nothing to do with this. Something's going on, I'm disappearing back. And so it's like, okay, he's here, he checks in. There's a secret door that's all locked up. Insomnia's like, is that where the Nightmare Stone is? He goes,
yeah,
I don't have it, man. I don't think any of us have it, honestly. Like I think that you're barking up the wrong tree. And he's like, nah. And so it turns out that door leads to like Bruce Wayne's inner child, like his true youngest self.
Oh, he's not dead?
No. Exactly. No, of course not. He has a giant penny, a dinosaur in the Batcave. That kid runs amok every time Batman's doing his own thing. I would assume it's also because it's connected with dreams. Maybe that's like when Batman's asleep, his inner child's like, you should get another bat suit. This one should be purple. you should make that giant dinosaur into a robot. You should have a protocol in place so that if you die, you could download yourself into the robot dinosaur. Then you could be the Batmanosaurus Rex. These are the ideas. So anyway, he gets in there and he finds himself, and he's like, I always wondered what the effect of seeing Batman would have on myself as an 8-year-old boy.
Right.
Would he be afraid of me?
Right.
And instead he's not. And he's just kind of like, that's really cool. And he's like, Batman comforts his younger self. And he basically says, like, the world seems like hopeless and empty now. Because he also, I think Josh Williamson also like retcons an interesting aspect of the death of the Waynes, which is that no one came to their rescue. And so like Bruce Wayne sat with his dying and then dead parents for 90 minutes before a like beat cop sees them and does something about it. I know. I was like, that's a long time. But that also is very believable in Gotham, where like no one came to help you. But because he's like, gunshots in Gotham are a pretty normal thing to hear. But anyway, he says like one day you're going to meet like people who can fly and who can run faster than anybody, who can deflect bullets with their bracelets, and like you're gonna have children
and you can take them all down.
Yeah, and you could just destroy them. No, he's like, no.
You know all their secrets.
He says that they're all family. Like that one day you will have a family again. And I'm like, that's really cool. And then he says, that's real. And he is like, why a bat? And he's like, because bats scary. And he's like, that's really cool. Like, I really like Batman. Like he accepts him. And I'm like, that's nice. And he wakes up. And while he's waking up, he ties directly in with the Zdarsky run, where he passes all the different multiversal Batmen of Zur-Anon. He's like, what the hell was that? And you're like, oh, okay. Like, that's fun. And it's directly connecting him with everything, which is, I think, a mandate.
Okay.
Like, I feel like because Williamson's involved in this, he's like, hey, make sure that it's all connected, please. Like, if there's Wonder Woman stuff, like, make sure it connects with something. If it's Superman, connect with mine, Please make it relevant.
Right.
But it's a good issue. I'd say pick it up. How about you?
Oh, okay. I read Doctor Strange this week. Doctor Strange number 6, written by Jed McKay, with art by
Juan
Gideon. I really like the art in this issue.
Great cover.
Really, great cover. Really, really good looking stuff. Supposed to have like a vintage feel for a very specific reason.
Oh no.
Okay, folks. So, all right. Issue 47 of Doctor Strange, right?
Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah.
No, that's just Doctor Strange.
It's Sorcerer Supreme. It's just very tiny. Right? You've seen this costume before, right? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, why is he blue?
It's a different. It's not him. Anyway, so Doctor Strange is finally back, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm Sorcerer Supreme," and you're like, "Awesome!" And then all of a sudden, this other thing happens, right? And like he's like called to action because there's like this crazy war going on, right? And the Vishanti are like, you have to fight for us. And then in this issue, they're like, you owe us. You invoke us all the time, right? You
mean when he says like by the hoary host of Agath and the 3-headed Vishanti?
Yeah, and like you owe us, dude. You're the Sorcerer Supreme. You have to be our champion. You have to fight this war for us. And he's like, cool. And how long will that war be? And they're like 5,000 years. And he's like, well,
I don't think I'm going to live that long.
Right? Well, they're like, no, you will here. It's totally cool. Don't worry. He's like, I can't leave the Earth unprotected for that long.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
No. So it's like a huge argument in here. And, we see a bunch of stuff. Like, here's the reason why, like, any writer who is writing for, like, Doctor Strange can call upon like what people look like. Like we've seen Valturis recently, right? Because it's like they drew them at one point. They were like, here, look at them all. Look, here they are.
This is what these characters look like.
These are all like a bunch of them look like, right? For some reason in this though, and I don't remember why, but Agamotto is like a bug man now. Just ignore that. Let's not think about that, right? So, like, essentially, they like all of the various deities are like, nah, come on,
fight this war, fight this really long war.
And he's just like, I'm just not gonna be Sorcerer Supreme anymore.
She just quits.
Yeah, I don't want your crap. I just won't do it. It's fine.
Why do they want him so bad? Because he is their Sorcerer Supreme, or
because he's their guy.
He's the guy.
He's like, we chose you.
Right.
And he's like, but I don't want to leave the Earth that way. Blah. So listen, like that's where this all starts, and that's where a lot of this stuff is coming from in this issue, right? Because this is where it begins. And then Shortly after this, a whole bunch of other things occur for him.
Yeah,
like,
it never stops. Actually.
It doesn't stop. Like, it doesn't stop. Like, he gets back, and then it's like, oh no, it's Dormammu. I gotta team up with some of the defenders, and then it's like, oh no, Brother Blood and Morbius is there too at some point, and Rintra and stuff. Like, and then like the Infinity Crusade, like it just
Infinity Crusade, and then you get Siege of Darkness.
Yes, so it just doesn't stop, and then eventually he does become Sorcerer Supreme again, and he does go fight the war. And
he does fight the war anyway.
And what they decide to do is they're like, we'll just put you back. And it'll be like 1 year after you left.
Right. Okay. So he only has to give up a year of like Earth time.
And then you won't ever talk about it.
You'll never reference it.
Because we didn't want to write about that.
Yeah. What? Oh, no. Are you saying we're going to see the 5,000-year war?
So here's what's cool about this issue, about issue 6 of the McKay run right now, right? He's just like, let's talk about that. But we do it in like one issue.
Damn it.
And I'm like,
that could have been an event.
If Doctor Strange was a more popular character, because he opens this up with like, it's Doctor Strange's war journal. And I'm like, that's the book.
Yeah,
right?
Doctor Strange war journal. Like book. Punisher.
Yeah. And maybe you could have done it in like, I don't know, like every 500 years. Like, you talk about that.
Check in.
Right? Like you do. And that is what we do in this, but we do it in one issue. And like, and that's no one's fault except for the fact that he's just not that popular.
Right.
He's not popular
like, they're
enough.
not going to give him a miniseries to complement something that happened 30 years ago or this thing he wants to pay off now.
Bingo.
That's
bingo. So like at least we have this one issue that acknowledges like Doctor Strange went through it.
Yeah.
And like what?
Could they do it anyway?
Yeah, because we don't really cover enough and we really just talk about like. So at the end of issue 5, like another Doctor Strange shows up, right? And he calls himself General Strange.
Oh,
and it's like, what's up with that? What happened? All this book does is go how we got from point A to point B with that. You could 100%,
just
in my
fill
opinion,
that in.
Write the Doctor Strange War Journal.
Right.
You could write that.
Yeah.
You could write about all the crap that happened. You use his book basically as a skeleton. You literally take the Jed McKay issue 6 and you go, here are the beats we have to hit, but here are the stories that we didn't tell.
Yeah. So what you're saying is we should petition Jed McKay and Marvel to do Punisher War Journal the mini.
Do it as like as a mini, or do it as a series of like OGNs. Because first of all, that'd be really dope because
like season 1 or
or like into Shambhala, like that kind of thing. Like here they are. Here's a really fun, different look at Doctor Strange. It gives you an opportunity to write Doctor Strange very much out of character, or inevitably out of character, because he starts off being like, they call me General, but I have to remind them every day, call me doctor. And then inevitably he's like, I'm not a doctor anymore.
No, because I've taken too much life. I swore an oath.
Yeah, he's like, I can't. And like, you just like, this issue shows you that until eventually at the end of the war, it's not really the end of a war, because what ends up happening is like the Trinity of Ashes, who we saw before. Remember I showed you that image? They were tied into the last book that McKay did with Strange. That they like are like, they're scared.
Yeah.
They're scared of like the war dog of the Vishanti,
which is Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
General Strange.
And so essentially they're like, let's just peace agreements.
Right.
Cool.
They just
cool. We're cool. The only thing we want, that we have only one request. And he's like, I don't want to do no. I've gone too far. Too many lives are gone. I have given up too much. We're finishing this. I'm gonna get them. We're going to kill them.
Okay.
And it will be done. And they're like, Vishanti's like,
yeah, we kind of think that the peace deal is actually a good deal.
Yeah, no, it sounds like, and they only want one thing.
Right, but what is it?
And they're like, well, how many lives? And they're like, only one.
Is it his?
Yeah. So like, but we figured it out. Don't worry, we got this. We got your back, Strange. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I know we totally bullied you into fighting this war, and you've become a total monster. But here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna separate the monster from the man.
What?
And so we're gonna make General Strange one guy, and we're gonna make Doctor Strange another guy.
And we're gonna send him back.
And we're gonna put him in a crystal, and we're gonna give him to you. And Doctor Strange is like, cool. I don't know what this thing is,
because he doesn't remember.
And he's like, I'll put it there. And they're like, listen, you have to protect that thing. It's filled with something very dangerous, and it's tied to your life force. So watch out. So McKay basically
picks up that thread. He's like,
that happens in his book.
He invents that.
He invents this, and then he makes it work with what's been going on. So because Doctor Strange died, the crystal was
shattered or something.
Yeah, and so General Strange is back.
Was he just running around? Are they separate?
We're gonna find out. Literally,
beings?
this issue was just explaining where he came from, and I'm like, that's really cool.
That's really
he took something and he filled in a gap that, like, there's just this.
It was set up.
It was just set up. It was just waiting there, and
good retcon.
And again, I desperately wish there was more of it, because it's like, You freaking called it. You started off by calling it as War Journal. Of course, you're going to make me think of Punisher War Journal.
Yeah.
Like, you are going to make me think of that. And again, it's only because Strange is not a strong enough, more like popular character to carry that book that we won't have it.
Yeah.
But damn.
Well, here's my question to you. Okay, you do your Doctor Strange War Journal minis, you know, or OGNs, right? Let's say they're OGNs because we're bringing it back. I assume you have different creative teams for each era.
Yeah, you could.
Or do you want the same like writer with different artists?
I think it depends on who the writer is. If the writer,
it could be Jed MacKay.
Yeah, it could be.
The idea is it's either Jed MacKay or it's like James DeMatteis does like a 500-year stint, and like Roy Thomas, is he still alive? Does a book. You know, like every Doctor Strange, Brian K. Vaughan could do one.
Yes and no. I think you really need to think about this because it gets real dark for him really fast, and I just need whoever's writing each of those like time periods to be able to write that style of story. So I don't know. So I'm just saying this was a great issue, but it just made me wish that he was more popular.
Yeah, so that they
could fill more of that in, because seeing Doctor Strange be like, we don't truly we see a little bit of like how much of a monster he becomes.
Yeah.
But not really.
Well, and I guess the idea is so they separate him from himself. They make General Strange a separate guy.
Yeah.
And then they drop him back into Doctor Strange, like number 50 or whatever.
No.
From the 90s.
Well,
1 year later.
And 1 year later.
And he's like, I'm back. I don't remember anything about where I was.
Yeah, he's like, I know I did something. Cool. Let's not talk about it anymore. Anyway, moving on to the next thing. Then that's kind of how Strange was being written then, where it was just like, and now into the next thing. We would call back to that, but like Doctor Strange, like during this time period, it's just nonstop, right? Like it's just
which is kind of cool.
Stuff is happening to this
book
man
never
constantly.
stops. Yeah, that's true.
Man, I have a really awesome way of dropping books in which they fall perfectly flat, which I'm very pleased about.
Exactly.
Very pleased about that. But yeah, so
kudos to him, right?
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
Good book, but like I said, just wish there was slightly
more.
I wish we could have more. I
mean, that's nice. That means he's making you want to have more.
X-Men also came out this week, and I was like, if we're going live, this is the one I have to have read. Right? Like,
yep.
Yeah. By the way, I see someone mention, like, didn't Jason Aaron have? There have been a lot of alternate versions of Strange.
Yes,
and that's just a thing that happens to Doctor.
Jason Aaron getting one of those would be great,
right? But I'm just saying, like, Doc has that happen to him a lot.
That's true.
It's just a thing that happens to him.
Yeah,
I mean, it happens to a lot of characters.
So Duggan and Caselli.
Yeah,
X-Men 25.
Yeah, art looks great in this book. Giving you some kind of Laraz vibes, but like the color palette on it, I noticed it's darker. It's kind of cool. Like it's just like a little more
they
muted.
Were all like that,
right? Just a little more muted.
Yeah.
This issue really focuses heavily on Kitty.
Yes.
And like what her deal is, and how like it's an interesting time for her.
Yeah.
And people who are fans of her, I'd love to know how they feel about this.
I saw a little bit of scuttlebutt online about people being very happy.
Okay, because she is. First of all, they're referencing something. I think it's a book. It was a book of Kitty and Wolverine together.
Yeah. The miniseries.
They reference Ogun and all of that. So like she's utilizing swords from that time period that she's in, and skills that she learned from Ogun and also from Wolverine in this. So she's become like a little assassin.
Cool.
And by a little assassin, I mean an assassin.
Yes.
Because she's the only one who can use the gates, and she's questioning, a lot of things. Her faith is
really fun that she's the only one who can use the gates.
Only one who can use the gates. Which is also questioning. She's like, am I a mutant?
Yes.
Like, if I can use it, can I? If she questions her faith, the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
This book is told. We jump around all over the place. We see the fact that Sunfire is Sunfire. Yes.
Yeah.
We were talking about
Sunspot, Starfire.
We were talking about Starfire recently, and I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm saying the right celestial body plus fire."
That's right.
She's living a trader's life. She hates it, of course. This is not what she wants.
Nope.
But she's in the limelight. We see the political setting on Earth that Orcus has a hand in the White House. Iron Man Sentinels are standing outside to make sure everybody's safe. They're telling the people that it's like, don't worry, we are helping mutants. to get off planet. Like they are going to Mars where they're welcome, which is not the truth at all. There's a war going on up there. Any mutants who are from Araco are like all out against Krakoan mutants. They're like, you're weak now that Genesis is there, obviously.
Yeah.
Others are being helped by curing them. Meanwhile, Dr. Stasis has Cyclops, so I'm sure he won't have him for long. But he's like, all you have to do is just tell them that like you absolutely orchestrated the attacks, and then we'll let all of you people go, like that we have. But otherwise, like people are gonna die. And Cyclops is like,
bring it on.
Yeah, I will kill you. Like
right.
It's all cool. Sync and Talon are really trying hard to formulate a rebellion of sorts. They have Rasputin there, and there are some other mutants, but they're just really trying to get a census, first of all, of how many mutants are still around, what they're doing, and how they are, if they're okay. And Kitty's a big part of that, but she's been acting so rashly. Like she returns from like a mission she was on. She's got like a cut, and Sync's like, hey,
let's dress that.
If you were at your A game, no one could touch you.
Right, that's true.
So like, I need you to rest up and focus. She's like, no, nope, not going to do it. Inevitably, she and Emma will have a conversation about that, where she's just like, what happened to you when you went through that gate? And we see what happened to her. And it's an incredible set of pages, like just
cool, incredible.
After Kitty falls through the gate at the end of the Hellfire Gala, there's a bunch of guys there, and she's like, hey, maybe you're like, I'm warning you, like, don't do this. And they're like, ha 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 ha. And she just snaps and she kills them all. And she's like, because I can't let them know I can go through the gate.
Right. So I got to go through them instead.
Yeah. And she just kills them in really horrific, amazing ways. And part of it, she's like, I learned a lot of this from Wolverine.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
she got her own berserker rage.
Yeah, fair. We also deal a little bit with the Kamala Khan fallout.
Okay.
Right. Where it's just, we see a part in which she's going back home, and Emma's with her, and she's disguised as a Tony Stark's assistant, Hazel, and she's like, she doesn't want to do it. She's like, they're going to be like, she's like, don't worry, they're really happy, they're excited you're alive, like it's okay. She's like, no, I know, but like, and she goes inside, and her mom has like white eyes. She's like, what the heck? And Emma talks to her. She's like, this is my gift to you. And she's like, I'm going to just remove
the memory of you dying.
Yeah. From them.
Oh my God.
So that you don't have to worry about that. And in fact, like,
what are they going to do when like the postman is like, hey, your daughter died?
Because she retcons it.
What?
She retcons essentially that, like,
does she know more death of Ms. Marvel?
Yeah.
Like
for like seemingly everyone. So how like her death, what that happened in the Spider-Man book?
Yeah.
And everyone was like, why did you do that?
Yes.
It doesn't matter anymore.
So it's like they never did it.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that would happen?
Right. No, it's how does she put it?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, this is like, use this, like, take this as a gift, don't.
Yeah. You're an X-Man now. Deal with it. Moving on.
No, she's like, no, you're not. Don't come with us. She's like, you get
it's a bad time.
It's a bad time
to be an X-Man.
I would not. I wouldn't worry about that. It's a bad time to be one, and they're just gonna come after your family.
Right.
Like if they know you're a mutant, they're just like, I wanted you to say that you were a mutant. I really, really wanted you to like come out at the gala, but that's not going to work. Yeah. So don't worry about it. She's like, I've done this stuff kind of thing for Kingpin. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But what ends up happening is Kamala joins anyway.
Oh.
And Emma's like, I gave you an out, and she's like, mutant or not, it would be wrong if I wasn't here to help you.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm here to help.
Cool.
We also find out that the Avengers are there. They're everyone's secretly meeting underground. Like Cap's like, I'm with you.
Yeah.
And he's like, and like the narration says, like, Cap knows how important it is to like have that visibility where he's just like, I'm with you guys. Like, what are we doing? So like, essentially they're just fact finding at this point. Like, where are mutants? What are they doing with them?
Right.
Another kind of major like mic drop moment for me, which I legitimately gasped in this, is like, we're talking about like Forge, because Forge is like, before the gala, he was like, "Oh yeah, I've got this whole like I'm going to try to use the treehouse technology to help other places." So like he's preparing like his notes for that. It's like they can reveal that. It's kind of when the shit hits the fan, and the portals go down, and he's like, "The vault."
Oh,
that was what was keeping them in.
Oh,
Yeah.
So the vault opens?
Presumably the children are free. So
Okay.
it's like, oh yeah, and one more thing.
Cool.
You know that huge pile of crap?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's awesome.
So, this was a really good issue, which was like, we're not going to pretend like everything's hunky dory and awesome.
Can't.
Like we can't possibly do that, but it does keep up the steam, and it doesn't feel like a misery fest. It's more like okay, let's make sure we understand where players are and go from there.
Right. So, right. Love it. That sounds great. Keep up the momentum.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool Man Cotterham says Spider-Man Reign 2. Yep, they announced a sequel to Spider-Man Reign.
Why?
I can't imagine. Arduit, ComicPop Woo. I don't know if there's like a meme or something that I missed. I appreciate the woos, but I've noticed that like that's how people open the show now.
Well, I think one person did
it, and so now it's like a thing.
And now it's a thing.
All right, I just want to make sure I'm not missing a reference.
I'm going to attribute this to Ray Farr. I think.
Oh, it is definitely Ray Farr definitely cemented it. Definitely.
Yeah, which is not a bad thing.
No question about that. Ali Alziadi, hello. I hope you're well. Speaking of turtles, apparently the toys that made us exaggerated Eastman and Laird's breakup, and they were on good terms and still are. That's good to know. I hope so. I hope that's true. I haven't seen them do any interviews together. I've never seen them travel together. Whenever I see Eastman, he is never with Laird. I've never seen Laird at a convention. Toys That Made Us certainly does play into an overwhelming feeling that seemingly we all kind of agree with. But yeah. I hope that you're right. Thank you. Bryce Harriet, first time I'm older than Turtles. Wow. That's fun. Dylan Helms, hey ComicPop, first time supporter, love the Turtles movie, took my girlfriend to her first con yesterday. Any tips on book hunting at conventions?
Well, it kind of depends on like what you're going there for. Sometimes I go just to discover something new, and that's a little easier because you just
kind of looking around.
Otherwise, if you're trying to complete a collection, have some either like
list,
like a list somewhere. It doesn't have to be an actual list. Just keep it on your phone.
You keep it on your phone
of what you have already, so that you can reference it. Because otherwise, you'll end up with multiples. Like I have of certain things where I'm just like, I know this cover, or I don't know this cover, so I must not have it. And it's like, no,
I have 2 of them.
I've got 3 of them now. Great, excellent.
Exactly.
So I would definitely do that, and
have an idea in your head about what certain books you're looking for and their price range.
Yeah, and what you're willing to buy them for, and like just to do a quick little spin around the con just to see if anyone has any deals. You could start there and then go out from there.
Exactly.
I'm trying so hard not to make noise, but put these books
away. It's okay. 60-second comic facts. Turtle Power. Who's your favorite character from the TMNT universe? I'm going to say Donatello. It's just my favorite turtle. I don't really care about the rest. I mean, Casey Jones is pretty great, but it's really rare.
It's not Muckman.
Muckman's hilarious, but only from Adult Swim.
I love Raph.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say about that.
Cool Man says, I'm convinced we're not going to get a good Amazing Spider-Man comic until a universe reboot happens. No, it just takes one good writer. That's all it takes. And it just takes one, like, either an editor-in-chief who's strong, or a president who cares, or a writer who's excited, who has like cachet. Like it's ironic because Zdarsky didn't want to get pushed around by Marvel editorial, who would have forced him to do things that happened. I guarantee you, Wells didn't want to do half the crap that happened in this series, but Zdarsky probably would have been forced to or expected to do those things as well. But now that he's so popular and he writes Batman, like he has more power now than he ever did, and you have the ability to just go, no, we're not going to do that. Fodderbox Kid, hey guys, glad to catch the live. I'm reading Tradmore's Doctor Strange book today, and I'm about to make a jump into manga with Volume 1 of Berserk. Well, you could do worse than Berserk, I imagine. People love that series.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we just got we're getting a hardcover of that Tradmore Doctor Strange book in the next couple of days.
Excellent.
Dylan Helms, also a major thanks to Tiffany for igniting this love of X-Men in me that I didn't know I had. Currently reading Ten of Swords. Excited to catch up.
Yes, Ten of Swords. People are like, what's your favorite event? And I'm like, I always go back to that one, mainly because I was so like into X-Men, and not that I'm not now, but like at that time I was excited to be on board on this like ground floor of this new like era for X-Men, but also all the magic and mysticism
Yes.
in that book. And it just felt nice to have all the writers working together.
Totally.
So cool.
Dante Cook, this is a super late, but thank you, Sal, for covering Image's Angela. I love that 2-second run of her so much that I hunted down 2 copies of all of it. One day Marvel will give us a new Angela run one day. Yeah, all the Angela has to do is appear in the next Guardians movie or something, and we're going to get her.
They'll just do an Angela War Journal.
Angela War Journal. We'll get an original. Dude, if I could get...
pitch is character War Journal.
I would take a Neil Gaiman, Greg Capullo, Marvel original graphic novel of Angela. That'd be really fun to see now, especially given the miniseries that we got 30 years ago. Glass Man, the moment I'm Batman... the moment in Batman Night Terrors as Batman's talking to his younger self is quite a touching moment. Love to see Williamson on an all-star podcast. Well, that's the show that exists thanks to being...
no, love to see Williamson.
Yeah, me too, man. Yeah, that's his show. Like All-Star is called that because I wanted it to be about all-stars like Joshua Williamson. So the show is Josh's and mine. We're recording one this week, actually, to cover the month of August. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Thank you very much. Alziati, did you hear that Garfield will be open to Amazing Spider-Man 3 if Feige was involved? I mean, who wouldn't be, right? I think that Garfield should be interested in it regardless, but I'm down for Amazing Spider-Man 3. I'm okay if they don't make Amazing Spider-Man 3 and they just go, okay, so he's the Spider-Man of the Venom-verse, which also includes the Morbius verse and all the other crap. Like, the Spider-Man that we have is that one. And then he can die. I love Garfield. I think he's great, despite the Monday problem. No, I love Andrew Garfield. He's amazing. He's my favorite Spider-Man on screen, but I also don't want Tom. Every time I hear about Tom Holland and Spider-Man, they're always talking about like him swinging off into the sunset. And I'm always like, shut your goddamn mouth. Everybody who wants to see Miles replace a like essentially 19-year-old Spider-Man, like get out of my face with that. I'm not saying that he's 19. Corrections in the comments are coming immediately.
Yeah,
but but age-wise, he would not be 20 something. Like anyway. But if they want to do that, you know, they could just have Peter Parker Spider-Man in the MCU and just keep going, and they can have Andrew Garfield do all the things they need, and then have Miles show up. Anyway, it works out perfectly. It's beautiful. Come on, let's do it. Rami Darwish, hey guys, happy Monday. Also really enjoyed the 52 episode of Back Issues. Thank you very much.
Yay.
Big fun episode. I'm glad you liked it. Nikki T, hey Sal and Tiffany, my grandparents just adopted a stray cat named Rocky.
Yay.
Any tips on or secrets to handling a cat? We've already got a couple of dogs. The first thing you want to do is make sure that your dogs are acclimated to the cat.
And
the cat is like, it feels safe. You know, you want the cat needs to have places to go in the event that it feels unsafe in your home. Those could be anywhere from a cat tree to a room in the house that's specifically theirs. Not like that you would not go in there, but like that you have declared like the dogs don't go in here, but the cat can go in here. That's a place just for the cat to go.
I've heard it's best to really introduce the cat to a single room first. It brings them comfort. They will know that is their safe spot.
Yep.
And then allow them to explore other areas. You could, if the cat and the dogs have not met yet, and you know, if the cat is not used to having other animals, you just set up something that, you know, whether it be like a baby gate kind of situation, a screen, like something like that they can interact with each other without physically being in the same room with each other, so that they can get to know each other's scents.
Yep.
And then you can even, if they're not doing well together, you can have like set up food nearby those spaces so that they start associating one another with good things.
Right, because they need to be positively reinforced, and also inevitably you want them to eat relatively near each other, so there's like one communal eating space.
Yeah, we're not cat experts. We have cats, so that's just what we've done, and that's what we have
had success with.
And also in terms of like handling them, if you do want to hold a cat or get to know them, best thing you can do in order to get to know them is make a fist, make bones at them, because they'll read it almost as like your face, and so they'll want to like mark it.
Yep.
But like it's also not like threatening. Like when you go to pet a cat, they're gonna see this like a claw,
and they immediately they normally associate
if they don't know you,
with...
they're not gonna love that. So do that, and then go in for the pet, especially keep it around like the head, neck region, and even into the like down here section.
Yeah.
And then inevitably you can do a full body pet, and if you want to pick them up, support their butt and back feet.
That's right.
They'll appreciate it.
Alex Sanchez, I think they just announced Spider-Man Reign 2. Yes, they did. Apparently they teased it, according to Adventures in Poor Taste. Kari Andrews, let's see. We got We got an image of it, and I think that's Kari Andrews' art as well.
Is it just Kari doing both, just like in the other book?
I assume. I mean, that's if I were going to do that. The teaser says the most notorious Spider-Man story ever told. Stay tuned for more. So that's in typical Marvel fashion. Here's no information, but get excited anyway.
But Kari did Amazing Fantasy.
And Amazing Fantasy, yes, that's right. But this is Amazing Spider-Man or Spider-Man Reign 2.
Right. But I was saying, like, they did work. I think they did writing and art for Amazing.
Oh no, they're great. No, except for this. I think I would accept it if it was called Spider-Man Strikes Again. Just like Dark Knight Strikes Again. Just to remind you that was a terrible book. Yeah, I love that they're leaning into it. They're like, it's the most notorious Spider-Man ever told. Shut up. Paul Williams finally got my copy of Williamson's Rogues. Nice. Enjoy.
Good time.
You haven't already? In 2 weeks, you may have want to have already ordered your copy because it might be on back issues. Sean Conwell, Sound Tiffany, good work as always. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Suggestion for Elseworlds Exchange. An in-continuity DC Civil War event pitch. We may have already done that. You may want to go back and take a look at either like at the playlist of Elseworlds from the main channel.
Well, then you can do Civil War 2.
I know, I love that idea. Alex Sanchez was in Boston last week and found a comic shop, a Savage Avengers omnibus, grabbed it before it was out of print. Nice. Good pickup. Sean Conwell also suggested episodes devoted to zaniness of the Tangent Comics universe. First time I went down that rabbit hole, I was blown away. Agreed. We have some issues, but not all of them. There needs to be like an omnibus, something like that.
I thought there was, and the first reason I thought we had it, but I guess I'm wrong.
Maybe we do. I don't know.
I just make things up. I don't know.
Hayden Hamilton, love your coverage of 52. How much research goes into each back issues? How much prep? How long do you edit? What are the unseen, known parts of the job? A lot of questions. I appreciate all of them. I do as much research as I can. I always look up the book to see if there's any like reviews or discussions or online.
I think it depends on the book.
Yeah, it depends on the book. But for every book we cover, I always take a look to see if there's any interviews with the creative team. If it's an older book, like 20, 30 years old, I always take a look to see if we have the book. If we have an older copy, I read the foreword and the afterword to see if there's any like insights.
There's a lot that goes into it.
A lot of prep, especially with the bigger the book.
And there's like so many different avenues for that.
Edits take like 5, 6, 10 hours, depending on how long it is, and unknown parts of the job.
Sal's to decorate the set.
Decorating the set, being surprised by reactions, seeing what the audience or what the hosts connect with and what they don't. I've been very surprised by episodes where I'm like, what do you mean you don't like this? Or, oh my God, why are you responding to this? So, that's usually the unexpected, but it's always fun. No complaints. Here's some books that are coming out this week that we think you should check out. Superman Annual 2023 is coming out. I'm obviously going to get that. If you haven't already checked out All Stars with Joshua Williamson, it's our podcast here on this channel. You should, because you'd already known it existed. It would have been on your pre-order list. Spider-Man Annual #1 is coming out. Apparently, there's going to be some kind of contest of champions. They're calling it Contest of Chaos. This is Agatha Harkness, the hot one, is making the Marvel heroes fight. Stephanie Phillips is writing Spider-Man. I'm going to check that out. Why not? Spidey versus Wolverine. Night Terrors #3 is coming out. I'm going to check that out, of course. Continuing that series. Barnstormers, the now Eisner Award-winning series, is in its second issue, or rather, of course, its second printed issue. But you should check out that series as well, because I think the art is great. It's by Tula Lotay, and a really fun premise. Just worth checking out as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I forgot that was coming out. Oh no, gosh. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Here are some things I'll be picking up. Immortal X-Men #14.
Obviously.
Yeah, I love this. To me, my no one.
Gillen wrote that.
Yeah, it's Gillen.
Because some of these writers actually write their own press
Yeah, I love it. It's all about Xavier.
Good. We need that. Look at that Planet of the Apes cover.
Yeah, I cannot wait. Well, because Sentinels have surrounded Krakoa.
Yeah.
And so he's really there alone, because we all know there's some people in the hole. So let's just see how this goes. But oh my God, Gillen writing Xavier after the fall of this dream.
Yeah.
Yes,
great.
Yes, please. I'll take 2. Night Terrors. I'm going to read Zatanna #2.
Yep.
For sure. Written by Dennis Culver. So I started that. So I want to
finish it. It's only one more issue. That's
exactly.
Even if you were kind of halfway on a certain issue or two, you'd be like, oh, you know what? There's only 2.
Yeah. And if you're like, man, I want to read Wolverine, but I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be feeling all this stuff about the fall of X-Men. Well, they can go over and check out Ben Mercy's Ghost Rider Wolverine, Weapons of Vengeance.
F yes.
freaking man, like Wolverine's had a lot of history with all different Ghost Riders, so definitely go check this out if that's the kind of thing you're looking for.
How could it not?
I believe it's him and Johnny, so
All right.
Listen,
fine.
It'll be a good time.
Looks like Danny because it always does.
Listen, that's the best one, right? Children of the Vault #1 is coming out, written by Dennis Camp. So we'll give it a shot.
See how that goes.
See how it goes, right? I don't know. Like, listen, how I said the other books weren't a misery fest. When we get into the Children of the Vault, that always makes me worry. I'm like, that makes me feel like it's a little bit of a misery fest because I'm like, they're just here for I don't know. We'll see. I'm not gonna judge until I read this. It is a mini series though, so they've been doing that a lot with like character kind of studies.
Yeah, the Iceman book came out this week.
Yeah, I did not get a chance to jump into that at all. But I also want to take a look to see what else might be coming out. I got to give credit to this Flash book. The cover itself reminds me just from far off of Evangelion. So yes, that's kind of neat. If you've been reading the Size Barrier, Damn Them All, #7 is coming out. Size Barrier is great, so go back and read the rest of it. Gargoyles, don't forget they've got a spin-off series, Dark Ages #2 will be coming out this week as well. I'm sure I'm missing literally 12,000 things, but I
think you're okay.
That's probably pretty good.
Right? Yeah, I think that's enough.
That's enough. There could be more,
right?
But who knows?
I'm sure someone does. And now we're going to be chatting a little bit about Ninja Turtles. I'll spare you the theme. But yeah, Team MNT, Mutant Mayhem came out. We watched it. And so, yeah, we'll give you our honest thoughts and feedback on what was the deal with this movie and any reactions thereof. Okay, so Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. I believe it was made by the same guy from Mitchell's versus the Machines, which I was like, yep.
Yeah, okay.
This, of course, is directed by Jeff Rowe and Kyler Spears, with writing by with writing by at least 5 different people. 4 people came up with the story, 5 people wrote the script. A lot of people involved in this movie.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough,
I didn't realize the guy who did Mitchell versus the Machines or worked on that, had also worked on Gravity Falls, which would explain why Alex Hirsch was a voice in this.
Yep. It's funny. Every time that we are like, oh, that's a cute movie, that really responds. I hope the youth of today respond to it. Alex Hirsch's name is usually on it. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me. But yeah, really quick non-spoiler review. The movie's really sweet and cute. I think that it's certainly the most young feeling movie and version of the Turtles I've ever seen, and that really lives up to the teenage part of the title. It makes me wish that we'd gone back. I remember the Michael Bay movies, the movie was going to be called Ninja Turtles, and people were so upset. Like, why would you call it that? It's called Teenage Mutant. So they changed it to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was going to have a lot of space and aliens and stuff in it. And they were like, why would you do that? And so they didn't do that. And instead what we got was one horrible movie and one really fun movie to watch one time.
Right.
And, but having it be called Ninja Turtles would have been oh, that really differentiates it, really sets it in that version. This one really leans into the teenage aspect of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and feels like that. And it has a lot to do with the young stars who portray the Turtles. Micah Abey, Shaman Brown Jr., Nicholas Cantu, and Brady Noon, to say nothing of Ayo Edebiri and company. Everybody did a great job. There was no weak link in this. The only thing that I always found confusing and weird was I didn't care for the idea initially because Splinter's supposed to be Japanese, that Jackie Chan's playing Splinter, not to mention the fact that there's a significant cultural shift between China and Japan, and of course the undercurrent of animosity between those two countries, but also the fact that Jackie Chan is a company man for his terrible government, and I don't really like seeing him talk ever really anymore. But also the fact that Splinter's Japanese. What the hell are you doing?
Wait, but not now.
But not in this.
No, he's just a New York rat.
And we're doing that. And it's a weird holdover from the live action thing where it's who cares what Splinter was? Yeah. He's just a rat from New York who learns ninjutsu from outside sources.
Right.
And so we got that in this. It's the only real thing I was that sucks. The only thing where I was that sucks about this movie is I'm why? Why? Now it makes sense and I get it. And certainly this Splinter is very much, he is more of a older New Yorker than he is a ninjutsu master or sensei for the turtles. It's much more of a father figure. So I get the motivation. There's no decision in this movie that isn't made in haste or without thinking about the story or the plot or the characters.
No, but it will be interesting to see it going forward, because I mean, obviously, here it's a kids movie,
right? It is straight up a kids movie.
It's a kids movie, so like,
if you're like a 50-year-old man,
well, it's a kids movie, so I'm just, but that doesn't mean that kids movies can't have
heart or
well,
depth.
and like depth and like a plot that
you could follow and it has nuance and subtlety,
or that you can go on to be grander and such.
True.
This movie really was focusing a lot less on the ninja part of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
big time
elements. It was more about the mutant,
yes,
the turtle part, like
that's
everything
really but ninjas.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, they're younger, maybe they can kind of come into it, but it's funny when you think of the villain of this versus what they're teasing the villain to be next, and how intrinsically tied that would be to that component
totally
of their name, their title, I should say, and how they're going to square that circle.
Yeah.
But in terms of the movie itself, it's cute. It's there's nothing wrong with it. We were in a theater filled with children.
Yes.
There's a few like parents in there too, but there were just some kids. A literal bus pulled up and a bunch of like middle school, maybe freshman kids got off of it. They all went to the theater, and a bunch of them were in there, and they're all watching their movie. Someone in the movie said hell.
And they say hell, damn, kill quite often. I really appreciated like the approach to this, where it was like the kids themselves have a censored kind of like approach because they're younger and they're like they're surrounded by their father, but like also the larger world outside, the adult world, tries not to pull too many punches, which I appreciated. Treats the audience with respect.
Yes.
Even the Ninja Turtles in the 1990 movie don't kill the Foot Clan.
Oh no, but it was just funny because like they dropped that, and there was a couple of kids in the audience who were like,
oh, we said a bad word. And I have not heard that in a long time.
It was adorable.
Yeah.
Utterly adorable. No, I really appreciated the fact that these kids, like these turtles, felt like teenagers. I thought that was great. I thought that was fun. I thought it was really clever for them not to lead with the Foot Clan and the Shredder, and to allow them to grow into that, to age up into that.
Yeah, it's tough because every time that you have a Ninja Turtles adaptation, typically they're like, all right, well, here's Shredder. And of course, the first time the Turtles ever appeared anywhere, they fight Shredder, they kill him, and then where do you go from there? And it goes completely off the rails immediately. And that's pretty much the case every single time.
Yeah.
That the Turtles then get reinterpreted as like, here's Shredder, and he's defeated or he dies. Either way, you got to come up with something else. And of course, what do? Usually aliens. And it's like, you've lost me. Like there's a lot of that. And the more you keep going with the Turtles franchise, the more nuance, the more narrow and niche the property becomes.
Yeah.
To the point where people are like, oh yeah, no, I dropped off a long time ago.
No, and it's funny, but instead of
doing that,
well, I was gonna say, instead of them doing the in the first movie, they kill Shredder immediately. Instead, they decided to go a different route and rip a different Band-Aid off that they could have milked for a little bit, which was they just introduced him to the world.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true.
Like, that's over.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they could, be like, oh,
they could put the genie back in the bottle.
Sort of, not really, but like, humanity knows.
Yes.
Humanity knows turtles exist.
Yeah. They know about mutants. They know about turtles. They are aware. They watch them. Yeah. And that's,
which honestly makes the ninja component even less important.
Right. Yeah. It's very much like an MCU Spider-Man movie.
Which is fine. Like this movie's going down such a different path that folk who grow up on this will go back to the original version if they want to. The 2003 version of it.
Yeah, that really fun cartoon that's like more gritty.
Yeah, but I was also thinking the other movie they made, the animated movie.
Oh yeah, that was I think 2005.
With like Patrick Stewart as
I loved that movie.
But like, it'll be so almost unrecognizable to them because they have gone such a different way or such a different trajectory for this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Right. So getting in, we actually did already get into spoiler territory, but
sure.
like, we find out, a lot of stuff about where I don't really get this as a franchise because I'm like, where are you going to go from here? But I like that they're kind of like focusing more on the like story that we're telling right now. It's very much like it's funny how Hollywood is doing that lately, like with the new Spider-Man animated movie and everything, where they're like, clearly we are part of a franchise. We are conditioning the audience to expect sequels, but also we are going to react to your expectations like it's completely unrealistic and kind of inappropriate that you're talking about the next one when we just pulled off this Herculean effort of making this one. And it's like, yeah, but it's part of a series. In Spider-Man's case, you called it part 2. Like what are you talking about? Or part 1 of 2. Like, you know what I mean? So with it, but with this one, you feel that like they're going. You don't feel in the DNA of the story of this book or of this movie that it's going to have more. And then there's a mid-credit scene where there's definitely gonna be more.
Yeah.
Like I don't see where you can go with this, but also it is so much not an interpretation of any original material that they can go wherever the hell they want with it because they're making it up from whole cloth, basically.
That's exactly it, and I applaud them for that.
Yeah.
For going, we've done so much. We've already done so much of many of the same plots.
Right.
Let's try a different way and let's see where it takes us. So I'm like, that's really cool. But again, like right now, it just feels like other than the mid-credit scene, like they leave the eye masks behind. Totally fair. You're going to school. You don't need that. But you don't need that. We don't need to be ninjas.
Right. Yeah. And I'm kind of like, oh, okay. For me, I was like, oh, I mean, like, I got it. I liked it in the sequence we got, like where they're in school.
Too,
but I'm also like, well, don't lose it. How do we,
they're
we need that.
Teenage Mutant
Turtles.
Yeah.
Well, they're it's just cute.
It is cute.
It's a cute movie. It's I will also say, as a one of my clear observations of this movie was like it is a really well designed and executed script. Like this movie is tight. It's not as tight, I think, as the original 1990 movie, where it's like that is a masterclass in like script writing and story. This also is, but in its own way, in a very new modern way.
Yeah.
But it's like everything that is introduced is paid off. Every character that is introduced has an arc. Every like element that is utilized is introduced is utilized. So it's like and also manages to do it in a trim, unindulgent way.
Right.
I'm like, you introduce these characters, you pay off these characters, you introduce this concept, and it's a very simple concept, but here we go. We're just gonna
right.
You know what I mean? Like, the teenagers, the turtles want to leave. They want to experience the outside world. And
that is traditional.
It's always been the case, but in a very through a very different lens, and it works really well. And then, but I'm just saying, like, it's a really tight, well constructed movie where I'm like, wow, like there are so few scripts nowadays that just work in like this 3-act structure and actually do all the things. They check all the boxes, as you pointed out in the car on the way home.
Yeah, no, it definitely did. It checked all the boxes. It was just fun.
Yeah,
it was fun. It was
purely indulgent. Like just you must, if you want to, you should watch it. Watch it with a room full of kids. Hear the kids like react to it. It's really fun to see. Like they're yelling, but like in excitement.
Yeah,
they're not bored. And I noticed it's funny. Like there are moments where I'm like, right when we're getting to the point where someone might be in not me, but I feel it, like, because I'm we go to the movies more often than not. I can feel when people are going to take their phones out, and like about 4 seconds before people are conditioned to do that, scene changes or something happens.
Admittedly, there were a couple of kids down the row.
Yeah, who had their phones. Well, they were like trying to find things. Like,
yeah, but they were also using their phone. Like they were doing it a little bit here and there. The movie theater we went to was less filled than when we went and saw Barbie.
Right, and yes, that's true. Yeah, there were a lot of seats filled though. Well, that was a Dolby theater like that we went to. So,
but usually they're because it's smaller.
I think because it's more expensive though.
But it was 25% off.
Yeah, for you. What was the other thing I wanted to say about this? One other ding for this movie, and it might just be because it's young, but I see a lot of movies, and I guarantee you, most reviews of the movies that came out in 2023 do not start with like, it's really young and it really appeals to young people, but a lot of needle drops in this movie, and in a way where like the same criticisms we had for Guardians 3. Guardians 3, there were an inordinate amount of needle drops. I think that, and I didn't pay attention to this, and it was a testament to the movie, but I think every single scene has one. Like, I think there is not a scene change without a licensed song in it.
I think that has to do with a couple of things. I think one, directors like James Gunn really opened the door for that to go like, hey, this is kind of what we do now for soundtracks. This is how you make movies. Additionally, I think it is a reflection on the way that children consume media
right
now. A lot, if they are on social media, a lot of the content that they are consuming, unless it's like
it's like a remix.
Well, I was gonna say, if it's a specific brand, I think that's one thing. Like if they're watching a show through that, but if they're watching just content, like trending music, trending that type of like sounds, like it's really important to them.
And it doesn't matter like where it comes from or when it comes from.
Right. So I would say it's also a reflection in terms of how they need to tell story to keep interest. With an ever shortening attention span to some degree.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think also it's just that they're like, well, I mean, everyone else is doing it. Let's do it too.
Yeah. That and the over reliance, and it wasn't even like they didn't rely on them. That's what's so frustrating, on names.
Right.
Like John Cena plays Rocksteady.
Yeah.
I didn't hear him.
Didn't hear him at all. No, that's fine.
Which, by the way, not like I really need him to play him.
Part of that is for really the adults who are also going to go see that movie.
I think it's just to put it up when they did the first trailer, when they went, names.
Right.
They need to give that up. That's over. I don't think anyone is like, we gotta go see the new Ninja Turtles. Do you hear John Cena is going to be Rocksteady in this movie? He's going to have 4 things to say.
I think they feel like that's a really, that's a thing. I think they get excited
I think that's insipid.
But I mean, like in the same way that having that amount of like music used in movies is inevitably, it's going to become cliche. It's already borderline to that point where it's just like, okay, and this is the point where we pull out either a fan favorite song or a song from the following decade.
Yes.
And that will become a cliche.
Right.
We're on our way.
It already is one. It's just that like, but it used to be that we were like, okay, here's the part in our Vietnam movie where we play CCR.
Yeah.
Here is the part in our Scorsese movie where we play the number 2 hit of the decade we are portraying.
Yeah.
Here's the part in the Zack Snyder movie where we play a song that has the words that describe the thing that's happening on the screen.
Right. And I mean, I guess in a way, like directors like, Tarantino started that.
But Tarantino also he tries to find songs that aren't.
Yeah, here's a song you've never heard,
or a song you forgot because you're a 68-year-old man. Like you don't have any recollection of it. Like no one who was born in the 2000s has any recollection.
It's becoming one of those things that it's happening more and more and more and more. And like I said, eventually this is going to become a cliche for sure.
Totally. They'll be trying to swing in the other direction. Like we saw Trent Reznor was like the music supervisor on this. And I'm like, cool. What did he do? What an easy job. What an easy paycheck. You put my name up there and so you're just going to grab your own personal CD collection, just play whatever? Cool. Got it. Okay. But man, good movie, really fun, really cute. Definitely check it out. I don't think that it's enhanced by the movie going experience. If you were like, I got like my kid's 3 and I don't feel like dealing with her bouncing up and down on the chair.
Yeah.
Just do it at home. You don't need to see this in theaters. There's nothing about like the enhanced sound or like amazing effects or the blistering artwork.
Right.
Oh,
should we talk about the style?
Yeah, the style. We need to talk about the style.
Yeah.
I think that it is self-indulgent. I think it's too far. I think that they were patting themselves in the back by the style they went with.
I don't know about that. There was like so many little like parts of it that I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah. There's parts I enjoyed
too. Not super familiar, honestly, with the original Eastman and Laird comics.
They don't look like that. But who cares?
Right. And like part of me, like, we obviously didn't have any like hints at the black and white, but like I did appreciate, like scribbles around lighting effects.
Yes.
That made it feel
like a comic
like
book.
it gave that attachment to the comic book.
Yeah.
I appreciated a lot of the models, the character models and their designs themselves being like their own thing.
Yeah.
Their own sort of style. Like April's just her character model. I'm like, that's a really cool character model.
Yeah.
Like very cool character model. Each of the Turtle brothers, like we've been working on that for
we have a million iterations of those characters. You could pick and choose or make up your own. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. But they've been coming for a long time, just making each brother look a little different. Whether that be from, I think, when did they start doing it where they had just it was just a slightly different green tone.
I think that was the 2003 cartoon.
Yes, we started there, and then it just has kept going.
Yep.
I really liked their different looks in this. I thought they were really well done. Again, they did the slight green shift differences there.
Yep.
We're pretty much hooked on the fact that Donatello will be a nerd.
He'll just have glasses. He'll be thinner
Raph's
than
always
them.
Huge, but I liked seeing them as babies because he was like Raph was like chubby.
Yeah. I like that.
We didn't really hit everybody over the head with their much like in a very old vintage theme song, what makes them who they are. We get that, when there's like a moment where they do like a shopping trip and we see Raphael like picking up like protein powder.
Yes.
And I'm like, they really don't hammer it home what their personality types are. You do end up picking it up. I was like, that's really well done.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there were a couple moments where like each character has their own very unique design. The universe has a very distinct feel that is consistent throughout. It's not like they just grab random characters from something else and threw them into this. I applaud the consistency and the execution and the deliberate nature and the kind of like almost daring way in which they were like, let's dare to make this world look that distinct, because there's the one from I think 2007 or whatever, the one that I really like.
Yeah,
it looks great, but it also looks like the mall. Like it looks like all movies that came out during that time. The rain sequence when Leonardo and Raph fight is great. It also would have been completely out of place in this kind of movie. It's like that's just a different style.
Well, they've left themselves open with how young teenage wise they are for that angst to come later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once they have things to lose, once they have something to like.
I mean, will Donnie go to college at this point? Is that what we're getting at here?
I hope so. I mean, I
what Ivy League will he attend?
I don't know. Will he get a scholarship of any kind?
Of course he will.
But I feel like, but there were a couple moments where like we're looking at and mostly from the random characters, from like characters that had no names, or where I'm like, this is very ugly. Like there were moments where I'm just like, I don't want to be looking at this anymore. And that was where I'm like, and if they had just pulled it back a little bit, like, and I really am colored by the there was a almost like a making of that I saw. It was like really just, it was a commercial. It was on Pluto, just got the old 80s cartoon. So I was checking that out, which was impossible to watch because it was like glitching, but there was like a little like a featurette.
Okay.
It was like 2 minutes long. So it was the length of a commercial break. And in it, they were talking about how they went like, well, how far are we going to go with this? And like, just make it, we had to like, it feels like there was a very hands-on approach to the design. And they were like, it needs to go from like, make it look a little more off model, oh, that's too far. Oh, that's not enough, and I'm like, at some point or another, I went, I think you just, you were in the room too long.
Right.
And when I say that, I mean, like when I'm doing editing, or when you're doing editing, I guarantee you, I want to hear your opinion on this. You're sitting there on a project. Let's say the project is like a 4-minute video, between 4 and 10 minutes. But it needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of like effort and time and creativity that goes into it. And you spent 2 hours on it. At some point or another, you have to leave. Like you can't, I can't look at this anymore. Because I'm seeing the same thing.
Well,
it
depends.
What's
my
what's my motivation?
When's it due?
Yeah, right. Well, it's due it's due at the end of the week, and it's Tuesday.
Oh yeah, then no, I need a minute.
You need a minute. Like
I need to get up. I need to walk away from it because I need to come back and look at it at what I call it like fresh eyes.
Yeah,
I mean everyone calls
exactly.
it that. I didn't make that up.
Yeah, and I'm not complaining that it's like, I'm not complaining that it's distinct. It's more just like, these are the things that I noticed. And and we're critics. I'm going to be critical.
Right.
There were moments where I was like looking at the screen. I'm like, I do not want to look at this anymore.
Sure.
And it's like 2 seconds. It's very brief. But like when you're making a thing that is projected onto a giant screen that you can't look away from, you don't want a moment like that. Unless it's a horror movie. You know what I mean? Or you're trying to achieve an effect.
Sure.
But like this is just more like, here's a guy and he's selling hot dogs and he's ugly as fuck. And I can't look at this anymore. I'm not saying he's sold hot dogs, but
I appreciate that kind of because
he looks like he belongs in this world.
Well, I mean,
and not everyone is beautiful.
I just mean that that it's like sometimes there's like an over beautification of
absolutely 100%.
Then again, I am looking at animation, and oftentimes that's what I'm there for. But that's not what all art is anyway. So it's fair they went with a different way. They did the thing. They did the trope. That I honestly was welcoming by the end because there are a lot of movie New Yorkers are jerks. And I was like, not that we're New Yorkers, but we are like
we're the redheaded stepchild of New York.
We're like their sibling, you know, like, hey, don't give him a hard time. We give him a hard time. You don't give him a hard
exactly.
time. And I'm like, all right. And by the end, when they were just like, hey,
you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
There was that moment, and I was like, there we are. Okay, yes,
we
thank
did
you. Yep, we're there.
Yeah, it felt a little less ham-fisted than I've seen in the past.
Yes,
but it also was very much the thing.
Yes, it was that was the thing. I was like, there we go.
You did it again. You can't be, because you know what the LA people want to do.
Right.
They want to be like, I'm a friggin' idiot and I'm stupid and I'm a big jerk.
I'm like, yeah, we are. Sometimes.
Like, yeah.
Sometimes. Additionally, I wanted to note that a lot of this movie is told from the perspective of these children. Even in this, like, April's a kid too.
Yeah.
Like, when in other versions, April was an adult woman who has a job.
That's
dealing
true.
With these like
teenagers who are so not,
like, so in quotes, but everyone is a kid. The adults are people like Splinter and I guess the villain and some of the others who are presumably were older when they were turned. It's hard to tell, but it's so funny because at the end, like, when you think they're about to defeat the villain, you're like, that's not a plan, and then it turns out no, that was not a plan. But no adult in the room went, how is this going to work? And I'm like, right, because children have come up with this plan.
Exactly.
And they, so there's something pretty real about that.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
There's, weird, like, horse stuff. Like the horse thing, I was like, that was funny, but like played obviously to do that.
Yes.
Like the one horse falls off. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But again, cute, fun, had a nice time. Your kids, you're probably going to have a nice, viewing of it.
Yeah, I think so. I think you'll find something to like. Even those of you.
There's a lot of pizza in it.
A lot of pizza, but not.
Which there better be.
Not like the opening sequence of Secret of the Ooze.
Were you also like surprised at how many characters they were like, throw them in here? They're part of the turtle family now.
Yeah. Yes, I was.
Which again, we're turning everything on their ear here.
Yeah, that's
Bebop
right.
And Rocksteady
are not goons of the Shredder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, well, maybe they will. Maybe they'll leave. Who knows? My favorite versions of Bebop and Rocksteady are from that terrible movie, from Out of the Shadows.
I know you like them.
So great. It's might be one of the best on-screen couples in cinema history. Those guys are such they're such boosters. They are so endlessly positive.
Yeah.
They just
yeah.
They feed off each other.
They should have just made influencer profiles and been done with it.
I can't wait. Maybe they'll do that.
They give Shell protein powder.
Ali El Ziadi says, "Did you hear that Daredevil's filming in New York?" I did not hear that. That's a shame. Because there's no actors or writing. What are they shooting? Also, that show is too long.
Maybe they're just
it's like 20 episodes. That show
shooting B-roll things to cut to.
I would do that. I would just shoot everything B-roll as much as I could of New York. That would save me a ton of money and time. It's a good idea. If they're doing that, great. Anyway, that's it. We want to thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll see you guys next time on the all new episode. And I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
So long, everybody. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.